Since I've remembered that Yalan's quest is a thing, let us do that. Calculator Gambit. 7-star selection. After talking to Huixin, you decide to go to the second floor of Yanchang Tea House to visit Uncle Tian. I know we accidentally started this, but I'm going to be honest, I don't remember anything about what we accidentally started. I don't remember what the 2 second of this mission that we've done, so ignoring that, moving on. Oh, wasn't this about Old Man Tian passing on soon or whatever, so he's a bit odd at the moment? I don't know. Something like that. How did you want me to get up there? Can I just go through it? Yeah, I didn't think I could just go through doors. Hello, Uncle Tian.
Uncle Tian, we're here to chat with you.
Oh? What a lovely surprise. Welcome. Oishi, why don't you go downstairs and get the shopkeeper to make us a fresh pot of tea?
She just nods, doesn't say anything. It's a bit unrealistic.
I heard that you've been traveling all over the place recently. I would very much like to hear your adventure story.
We're more concerned about your health, Uncle Tian.
Hoishin told you, didn't she?
Indeed.
Don't worry.
Can't keep a secret.
I'm quite all
keep
right.
a secret.
It's just the years gradually catching up with me.
Gradually? If it hits you all at once, it's hardly gradually.
As I grow older, I'm starting to find that with many things, though the mind is willing, the flesh is weak. Especially recently, I've noticed a rather drastic drop in my energy levels. I am still very much in good standing as the Tianshu today. Nevertheless, I wish to pass on the position before my mental acuity begins to decline beyond redemption.
You know, props to Uncle Tian for realizing that he is reaching his limit and having the humility and humble nature to say something about it and to prepare before it gets to the point where he no longer can. A lot of people will be too proud to do that, so good for you.
How difficult is it to transfer the Tianshu position?
Oh, well, you see, the Tianshu is a rather unique position among the Liyue Qixing.
I don't even know what the position is.
Historically speaking, the Tianshu rarely appears in public. We stay behind the scenes, planning and giving advice. So a public selection process would not be suitable. We also want to keep any prospective Tianshu candidates free from influence by outside forces, so we tend to be as discreet as possible in their assessment and appointment. For these reasons, the incumbent Tianshu typically recommends their candidate of choice, and this is then approved by the other Qixing members.
So in other words, you pick someone, and then Lady Keqing, Lady Ningguang, and the other Qixing appoint them?
Correct. Unfortunately, due to my health, I won't be able to assess every candidate myself. Not to despair, however, because I found someone exceptionally capable to act on my behalf as assessment officer. In fact, I believe you recently became acquainted with her yourself.
Oh? Who is it?
I'm heartbroken. I thought it might take you a little longer than this to forget all about me.
It's Yelan!
Jackpot. Uncle Tian here asked me to assess 3 candidates for him. Fancy joining me? You'll be among the first to get to know the next Tianshu. Might be a good opportunity for you.
I don't like the music. It's too loud, and while it's like Liyue harper music, it doesn't really blend in with the conversation we're having here.
What do you think?
It's a good opportunity. I'm really interested.
Paimon thinks so too. It can't be a bad thing to be on good terms with a new Qixing, right?
All right then. Though, I gotta say, Uncle Tian, you say you're into behind-the-scenes planning? My work's of the covert variety too. Don't you think I might make a good Tianshu?
Huh? Yelan, you want to be the next Tianshu?
I'm not opposed to the idea, but I suspect Ningguang wouldn't let you go very easily after how long you've been working together. So, how about this? If your investigation reveals that none of the other candidates are qualified for the position, I'll recommend you for the job.
Interesting.
Deal. Well, you guys take your time. Everything's all set for the assessments to go ahead. Meet me on the first floor when you're ready. Until then, have a pleasant conversation.
And he can trust Yelan to be impartial, even though it's to her benefit that the 3 candidates fail the assessment. She can be trusted to be impartial because of who she is and her position already in the Qixing. So you made a very good choice, Uncle Tian.
Oh, and no need to pay for your tea. As the new owner of this fine establishment, this runs on the house.
After telling Uncle Tian about your recent adventures, you returned to the entrance of the tea house. I didn't realize it
You're
was
all
a tea
set?
house. Apparently, yeah. I didn't even realize the staircase was there. Oops. Until Yelan took it.
Uncle Tian seems really worn down. It's like all his energy's gone.
Yeah, it may sound harsh, but Uncle Tian is past his prime. He's not cut out for this anymore. So he's recommended 3 candidates. Their names are Qinwei, Mingbo, and Geri. Qinwei is a wealthy entrepreneur. Mingbo works at the Liyue Ministry of Civil Affairs, and Geri is focused on study and travel.
I really don't think she's pronouncing that last one correctly. It sounds weird.
Try to keep all that in mind. Of course, it doesn't really matter if you forget, since we'll be assessing them at Yuehai Pavilion in a short while.
Qianwei, Mingbo, Jui. Paimon should be able to remember their names, but what does the assessment involve exactly?
Let's leave that until we get to Yuehai Pavilion. All right. Heads in the game, people. The stakes don't get much higher than a change in the Qixing. We can't afford to miss anything, no matter how small.
So I'm going to assume these 3 candidates are aware that they're up for the position and that they actually want it, yes?
Got it. We'll keep our eyes wide open.
Because it hasn't really indicated that they either volunteered for it, that they know that they're up for it, that they want to be a part of it. It's just sort of, the candidates will be assessed here. Enjoy. Hi, kitty, wherever you are. I hear you, but I definitely do not see you. Oh, so much for that cat. Alrighty, anyway, go to the pavilion to perform your inspection. It's always quicker to go this way. Pardon me, tree. Coming through. Bloop. Oh no, he just died.
My legs are getting sore. What is wrong with this assessment officer? This is a huge occasion and I don't even get a chair.
Okay, well, option 1, already kick him out.
I've dealt with all kinds of people in my time, but never have I been made to stand while I'm waiting for an appointment.
The arrogance in this man. Get rid of him.
Oh, I mean, I think it's fine.
And he doesn't have enough confidence. Get rid of him too. Option number 3.
That's called being complacent. If you're happy to just accept the way things are, you'll never be able to change anything in the future.
Oh, come on. That's just... Now you're just being unreasonable.
All right, you two. Let's not get into a big argument over this. It's not worth it. Qianwei, that was a bit uncalled for. And Mingbo, cut him some slack. We've all been standing around for a while. It's natural to be getting irritable.
Well, 1, did we not turn up at the appointed time? Are we late? 2, you could lean against this bit of wall here. You can literally sit on the floor. I don't know why you're complaining about standing and, my legs are so tight. Just fucking sit down. Jesus. It's public property. There's nothing wrong with just sitting in public property. Oh, are you too, I don't know, elite to sit on the ground?
Look, how about this? There's no rule saying we're obliged to stand up while we wait, so why don't we borrow some chairs from the guild nearby?
Why do you need chairs? Sit on the ground, sit on this rim, sit on this rim, sit on this goddamn rim. There are plenty of spaces to park your asses while you wait. Why do you need chairs?
Fine. They're not the best quality chairs, to be sure. But under the circumstances, it would be better than nothing.
You enter the assessment venue with Yelan.
It looks like all 3 candidates have arrived.
Yeah, and most of them are douche nozzles. Oh, it was those 3? We don't even know these people.
We'll meet them formally soon. Before that, let me run you through the assessment process.
Please.
I've split it into 2 stages: current affairs and planning, and face-to-face interview. In the first stage, candidates are required to submit a manifesto for Liyue's development. In the second stage, we will ask them some questions in person. Writing a manifesto takes time, so I informed them of this requirement in advance.
Good.
These are the reports they submitted.
And this, oh, good lord, you can tell who that belongs to. So this does answer the question I had about whether they are aware of this and whether they are wanting this.
Wow. One of them is really thick.
It's also worth mentioning a stipulation I gave them. Whoever is appointed as the new Tianshu will be expected to implement their plan as put forward in their manifesto. Failing the occurrence of some cataclysmic event, they will not be permitted to change their plan.
Oh god.
Therefore, these 3 piles of documents in front of us represent where each candidate stands on key policy issues.
I don't know why you would take that stance. Situations are ever changing, constantly moving and evolving. How can you hold them to their word as of, a day ago, when things might be changing on the daily in regards to people on Liyue? Seems a bit unyielding.
There's still some time.
Rigid.
Have a skim through, get a first impression of what each person's proposing. I'll be waiting off to the side. Just let me know when you're done.
Gosh. Do you think I have time to read through this? Yep, there he goes. Dead skis. Okay, what do we got? First and foremost. Good old G, I think, is on the end here. Could be wrong, but I know it's Mingbo's, I think. Mingbo's manifesto covers domestic affairs quite comprehensively, focusing on people's livelihoods. The core principle seems to be the greater good means a world that works for everyone. Good for him. And Tianwei? Tianwei's manifesto addresses many commercial issues and provides some very penetrating analysis. His view seems to be that regulations and incentives are both indispensable. And G's manifesto covers domestic affairs, foreign affairs, and checks and balances, all in great detail. The focus seems to be problem solving. It provides concise and clear solutions to various problems. It's so thick that you only have time to skim through it roughly. What about these other pages? What are these? Why are you here? Oh, sorry, this is your building. My apologies.
Finished, huh? What did you think?
I don't know that I really have an opinion.
Everyone took it very serious.
Yeah.
Of course they did. They have the chance to be picked as the new Tianshu, so you can bet they're putting their best foot forward. And keep in mind, whoever gets in has to execute their plan as written. Nobody wants to have any regrets.
Yeah, see, I don't like that at all. What did you think, Yelan?
That's for me to know and you to find out.
That's not very helpful.
We can talk more after the interviews. We'll see the candidates now. Let's do one at a time. Start with Chenwei.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she's actually here to help. Lian brings Tianwei in.
Oh? So you two are the assessment officers, are you?
Wow, the derision just dripping from his tone. Really doesn't bode well for you, buddy.
I had assumed that given the great
He's never
import
seen-
of this situation, Lady Ningguang would perhaps be assessing us in person. I certainly hadn't imagined I'd be seeing 2 entirely unfamiliar faces. I trust you've read through my manifesto? I'd be more than happy to clarify any details you found difficult to grasp. Wow. It was written with an expert audience in mind, after all.
the derision.
Mind your tone, mister.
Relax. It wasn't intended as a personal slight against anyone in particular. I was simply stating a fact.
Man, your communication skills. Did you learn them from Cloud Retainer?
Cloud Retainer? You know this Adeptus? Oh, yes, I remember now. You must be the traveler that people are constantly talking about. With your sterling reputation, you must have a respectable level of erudition. Perhaps you will be able to understand the concepts I have put forward. Although I shouldn't get my hopes up.
After asking Chalmai some questions, Yelan tells him to fetch Mingbo.
Is it my turn?
Indeed. Oh, we didn't really get much out of that.
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
I'm, Mingbo. I work in the Ministry of Civil Affairs. I've worked there for, 9 years, 5 months, and 3 days. In that time, I've handled, 2,347 cases. I have 12 active cases at the moment. They should be concluded in, 16 days. My current work is related to urban planning, and I'm also responsible for, auditing the accounts. To be more precise, there are 3 parts to the accounts.
Is it just Paimon, or is he not very good at public speaking?
You know what? Let's leave the self-introduction there and move on to some questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yelan forces her way through a few questions with Mingbo, then gets him to fetch Geri.
Hello. Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous. What would you like to know? You're here to assess me, so ask away and I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability.
So the question becomes, is he actually the best person for the job, or does he just look like the best person for the job compared to the other two?
Your manifesto is very wide in its scope, but you don't seem to be personally involved in many of the specific fields. How can you be sure that you have the ability to put your plan into action?
It's a good question. That was blunt. I mean, yeah, but it was very to the point.
Very fair
In a good
question.
way.
I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm confident in my plan. I've visited many different places, talked to lots of people with far more expertise than myself, and my manifesto is the conclusion of these efforts. Of course, 2 different problems can be interconnected in very complicated ways, and you might reach 2 very contradictory conclusions depending on which one you're focusing on. What I've tried to do is strike a balance. In other words, present an optimal solution to all the problems as a whole.
How do you plan to determine whether you are right or wrong about your proposed solution being the optimal one?
A great question. Well, I'd start by having my colleagues and the secretaries of the Yuehai Pavilion evaluate any proposals before implementation. Post-implementation, it would all come down to the results. If it turned out that my judgment was to blame for poor results, I would take responsibility.
Nice answer. All right, next question.
After asking Geri a few questions, Yelan sends him on his way.
He seems like a great guy. Everything he said was thoughtful and logical, and he was just a pleasure to listen to.
Meh.
Here's my take on what we just learned. As you saw, Qianwei is highly knowledgeable. He proposes many excellent ideas in his manifesto, which effectively target the big issues.
He's just a bit of a dipshit.
But he is very proud and incredibly stubborn. He doesn't care much about other people's feelings.
Which makes him pretty bloody awful for the job.
Mingbo's plan is more thorough and more measured. You can tell he's meticulous in his work, very detail-oriented.
But he's also not a people person.
But he and Qianwei are otherwise polar opposites. Mingbo is not very articulate and comes across as very timid in conversation.
Perfect summary. Paimon couldn't agree more. You're good at this, Yelan.
Last but not least, Geri. His manifesto is full of pertinent details, his methodology is sound, and his proposals cover a broad range of fields, which is quite a rare feat. The depth he goes into in each and every area means it can only be a product of painstaking work. Plus, he is modest and good at dealing with people. But what really interests me is that many of his views happen to coincide with Uncle Tian's. Having someone like Geri take the position would certainly put Uncle Tian's mind at rest.
Great.
I feel a butt coming on.
We'll see. Let's go back and report to Uncle Tian.
Next thing you know, I'm gonna revive Aether. Next thing you know, it's Geri's plot all along, and that he's actually put a curse on Uncle Tian to make him weak and to take the position by pretending to be like him. Why? Jesus. But you know, I'm just being dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. There's clearly something extra going on, so my idea's as good as any. The stairs. I found them this time. Uncle Tian. You tell Uncle Tian about the assessment process.
I see. Then it's more or less as I anticipated.
Is it just me or is he declining really quickly?
All right, then let me ask this. The ideas in Geri's manifesto are very similar to your own. Is there any particular reason behind this?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything when I gave you the list of candidates, for fear of affecting your judgment. But I can tell you now, those 3 candidates have all studied under me in the past. It's only natural that they share some similarities with me. But Xin Wei went on to focus on his business, and Ming Guo has always been occupied with his work at the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Of all of them, Geri was with me for the longest duration.
Whoa! So how did you get to know them all, Uncle Tian?
Chen Wei was referred to me by an old friend. Ming Guo came to my attention in the course of my work. As for Geri, that was pure happenstance. We first met while fishing. Gradually, as we got to know each other, we started discussing all sorts of topics. Geri came from a poor family, and his parents died when he was very young. But he was a gifted student and a fast learner. He reminded me of a younger version of myself. So
I kind of tuned out.
started out giving
I'm
him
gonna lie.
a few words of advice when we were out fishing and noticed how quickly he got on.
I 100% started thinking about something else. That tells you how grooving this is currently. I was thinking about tattoos. So, I'm sorry. Massive segue. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Uncle Tian. Your story is really boring. Can we move on? Since look, he's a friend to you. Whoops. I hit the family option
Now,
accidentally.
all of a sudden, he's grown into a mature young man. It's a joy to see. But it also gets one thinking. The young are growing up, and I am growing old. How time flies.
I like how we're invisible
No
up
one
here.
can escape the cycle of life.
I don't know, Uncle Tian. You still seem in pretty good shape to me. You might have another few years of work left in you, don't you think?
Oh, you. There's really no need to console me. Having less energy than I used to isn't such a bad thing. It just means I finally have a good reason to retire and spend my days doing what old men like me should be doing. Going fishing whenever I feel like it.
Sounds like you sure love fishing, Uncle Tian.
Ooh, there's nothing quite like fishing to pass the time. Ooh, and freshly caught fish, they make the most beautiful fish soup with barely any preparation required.
Fresh fish soup. Sounds tasty.
Doesn't it? Also, some time ago, Geri purchased a very special recipe from an old fisherman. When we've been fishing recently, Geri always brings some extra ingredients he prepared in advance. Oh, the addition of these makes the soup taste even more wonderful.
Yeah, is it just me or was this an avenue to be poisoning Uncle Tian? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just thinking about ways that Genshin could be 10 times better than it is by having these extra subplots. But seriously, this guy puts forward a very, very in-depth manifesto that just so happens to coincide with Uncle Tian's ideals. And then he just so happens to have been going fishing with him recently, and he happens to have been cooking for Uncle Tian. So he's actively feeding this man who would be the one he succeeds if he's chosen. So I'm getting the feeling that he's poisoning this guy, but you know, I doubt Genshin would take that path.
That flavor makes for a fond memory. But at my age, who knows how many more chances I have left to taste it again.
And you know, that's the problem with Genshin. It doesn't take the good stories and runs with them. It gives you this very shallow, trashy story, but it doesn't grab anything. Like, oh, and we'll choose a successor and life will move on. There might be a complication here and there, but all's well that ends well. Whereas here, I'm like, yeah, This nefarious plot of Ji's to usurp this position on the Qixing by poisoning Uncle Tian to get his way in there all the sooner. Like, this is a great plot. Genshin needs more of that. Very many chances, I'm sure.
Oh, can Paimon come next time too? Paimon really wants to try it.
This game's just so airy-fairy with no substance. Give me a good storyline, please.
Let's get back to the matter at hand. Uncle Tian, we've reported back. Do you have a verdict?
I want this game to get vicious. Is that asking too much?
I appointed you as the assessment officer, and I trust your judgment. Had you not asked me why Geri's ideas were so similar to mine, I was not going to mention my history with any of them. This decision must be guided by what is fair and right. Please disregard all other considerations and make your final decision only after a thorough review of each candidate's talents and capabilities. Remember, you must be thorough.
Understood.
So what are we doing next?
Come on, let's go talk somewhere else.
Bye-bye, Uncle Tian. Look after yourself.
You follow Yellen outside the tea house.
So, it's gonna be Geri, right? His manifesto was written well, and he's the best speaker.
Easy. Let's not rush. There's no time limit for this assessment.
Well, you've got until Uncle Tian perishes, but sure.
Huh? So, are you gonna give them more tests or something?
Well, she can't just stop now. Uncle Tian was very particular about investigate thoroughly.
No, nothing like that. The assessment itself is complete. But let me give you a word of advice. Things are not always as they appear.
Oh, good. So it does sound like we're going to something deeper. Maybe not as dark as I was proposing, but something better than what it was on the surface level.
The biggest no-no in intelligence work is to only get information from the person of interest themselves.
Agreed.
The truth is almost always hidden beneath many layers of deception. You have to get information through many different channels.
Including spying on the individual in question.
For example, Wenyuan, Shanghua.
Yes?
Hi. Who are you?
Lady Yelan, what are your orders?
Ugh! Who are they? Where did they come from?
Did they scare you? These two are Wenyuan and Shanghua. They work for me. As my trusted assistants, they are always standing guard nearby. They also perform various assignments as required. Shanghua is a business expert who gets his information by trading. Wenyuan relies on word of mouth. And there's also Upei, who's not here right now.
That meathead must have been out there on sea surveillance for some time now. Is he all right? I seem to remember that he can't swim.
Oh, poor guy.
Nothing can take that guy down. Certainly not a little wind and waves.
Shanghua, visit all the commerce guilds and look into Qianwei's background. Wenyuan, go to the Ministry of Civil Affairs and look through Mingbo's work files.
Yes, ma'am.
So what about Geri?
Come on.
Geri, well, obviously as the most promising candidate, we will be investigating him ourselves. Let's go to the docks first. Lots of people passing through there. You can find out all kinds of things.
If we're
Indeed we
looking for
can.
information, why don't we try talking to Bulai, the owner of Wanyu Boutique?
Why is it always that guy?
He does business at the North Wharf. Maybe he has some news for us.
That's actually not a bad idea. Let's go and ask him.
Surprisingly good idea from the peanut gallery. But okay, what's the quickest way? This way. Sorry, I need to go next area over. Okay, Ballite. Yep. Oops, I'm gonna need my stamina from to not perish when I fly down.
Huh?
Oh,
What's Bulai doing here today?
I was trying to go to you, sir, but I see you've vaguely come to me.
Look, your asking price for this batch is just too high. I can't buy in at this price. How am I supposed to turn a profit?
Come on, hear me out. I'm telling you, this is the single best batch of Sunsettias ever. You won't find anyone who disputes that.
How could you even prove such a claim?
I accidentally dropped one into a well, and even the water turned sweet.
Even so...
All right. I'll let you in on a little secret. The boss of Second Life also wants to buy from me. but I haven't responded yet.
That's just like manipulation.
If you won't take him, I'll just have to partner with them instead. And neither of us wants that.
Just let him do it. He seems like a douche who's selling subpar goods at a high rate.
Okay, well, when you put it that way, I'll accept your asking price. I'll take all your stock. Don't sell a single one to Second Life.
Yeah, but like, I gotta tell you, this is what is single-handedly ruining your business. Your squabble with Second Life. It's driving you to make stupid decisions. The trader who was negotiating with Bola leaves.
Oh, what are you doing here? And to be clear, these Sunsetias are mine.
I don't want them.
I got to them first.
I have
Don't get
plenty
any
of
ideas.
Sunsetias. Knock yourself out. I've got more than enough in my bag.
Actually, we want to ask you about a guy called Geri. Have you heard of him before?
Geri? Yes, he's quite well known. I've heard a story about him. They say he was born into poverty. His parents died when he was young, and he was treated cruelly by the local community.
Why? But also, didn't Uncle Tian say that the Tianshu, whatever the position they're going for, that person's supposed to work in the background, sort of undetected. Yet this guy is very popular or well-known. I don't know if that's going to work for him, but why was he treated cruelly?
One of his neighbors was terribly rude to him all the time, but Geri never retaliated. And when his neighbor went bankrupt, he even helped support the family. He returned cruelty with kindness, injustice with peace offerings. A gentleman of talent and character, and... how did I not notice him sooner? In fact, maybe I'm not too late. If I could hire him to be the brand ambassador for Wanyo Boutique.
Oh, he sounds like a decent man. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, don't count your chickens too early, Paimon.
Why are you asking about him anyway? You aren't looking for a brand ambassador too, are you?
No.
Well then, in that case, the higher bidder takes the... That's Geri right over there. Why don't we go and talk to him?
No.
Where?
It's him, all right. Looks like he's chatting with Linlong. Come on, let's follow them and listen in.
Who's Linlong?
Try not to let him see you. We want this information to be as truthful as possible.
Do I know this female?
I'll just go and fetch an employment contract. And hey, don't try and cut me out of this. Hey,